right now. But yeah, let's get into the predicted lineup. Ange has been speaking in the press conference. The injury news is not a positive one.
So obviously confirmation about Ben Bentancur's suspension. This is the first of 7 games that he's set to be out, subject to an appeal, which is likely only to chalk off 1 game. But he will be missing for this one. Obviously, he confirmed that Van de Ven is still a couple of weeks away, which is not great news, but hopefully he'll be back for, he said, around mid-December. So I think hopefully before that Carabao Cup quarter-final was the aim. Romero is not, he said Romero's not right for this weekend, which is kind of what we thought in terms of he's been going off early a lot of games, and if he's not 100%, just be careful with him because we've got a lot of games coming up and we're going to need him for this large stretch of games. So I think it's right, even if he's not 100%, just leave him out. And he said he should be okay for next week, so that's more positive, but obviously not great out for this weekend. When it comes to Mikey Moore, he said he's going to be out for a little while, he said, which is interesting because he's saying before the break, he was only out with a virus. And he said he hasn't reacted well to that virus, whatever that means. And he said he's going to be out for a little bit of time. So I don't know what that means, but when he was going through the wingers, he said that we're going to be without Richarlison, Odegaard and Moore for this period, which is a bit concerning why Moore is out for so long. In terms of Richarlison, he said the aim for him is to be back for the new year, so we're unlikely to see him until then. And with Wilson Odegaard, he confirmed that he's going to be missing a chunk of the season, a fair chunk of the season, he said. So we're not going to be seeing him for a while, I would say, probably at least till like February time, which is a big blow for him. Even asked about whether he's tempted to dip in January in the market considering his injuries, and he said depends on where we are come January. If we're a little bit short, if we're a little bit short come January, then it just depends. If we get 2 or 3 back by then, we may not do it, but we'll see how it goes. So maybe Tottenham might be tempted to do some business with these injuries.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, the centre-backs and the wingers, because the centre-backs, I'm not too concerned. I'm very concerned just about this game alone, but we know that they're going to be back sooner rather than later. But the wingers going into this really busy period, Europa League, Carabao Cup and Premier League now, we've only got 3 wingers to take us through this period.
Yeah, that's a big issue, and the biggest issue isn't even the injuries that we got, is the effect the injuries will have on the other players because they're continually playing, and we don't have players to come in really. Johnson, we don't really have a replacement now on the right wing for Johnson. He's going to have to play every game. Obviously, we're going to have to rely on Timo coming in a lot more. So that is, I don't know if we have anyone else in the academy who we think might get chances, but it's a big issue. And the big problem with getting long-term injuries like Odegaard and Richarlison in the same position is the pressure it puts on the players that are fit to stay fit. And if they get injuries, I mean, maybe we'll force Ange into a formation change because we just don't have the players out wide.
Can't they just give Mikey Moore like a bit of cowpole and he'll be right as rain? Like, what's going on here? Well, he's been out for like a month with a virus, and he's going to be out for he's saying still some time to go. I don't understand what's happened with Mikey Moore. He
said with Mikey, we just need to be careful with every step of the way, and Mikey will still be out for a little bit of time. So take that as you will. He didn't confirm a time frame, but he said a little bit of time. So I don't know when that means he'll be back.
Very frustrating. But look, let's get into the lineup who we think is going to face Manchester City. 5:30 kickoff at the Etihad tomorrow night. And in goal will obviously be our number 1, Vicario.
Yeah, and probably set for a busy game, I would assume, Vicario. So I think his shot stopping is going to need to be at his very best. I was doing a bit of research into Man City, and apparently they've definitely been taking lessons out of Arsenal's book when it comes to set pieces and putting someone on the goalkeeper and making sure he can't come off his line. So that's something he's going to have to be wary of, because it's clearly something he's struggled with, albeit, set pieces have improved slightly, but he's still clearly a bit suspect about coming off his line. So yeah, he needs to improve that in this game. And I think we did concede from a set piece at the Etihad last year, albeit it was an own goal. But still, Vicario, he didn't cover himself in much glory, I guess, over the international break, conceded from 2 set pieces again. So, yeah, it's a worry, I guess.
Yeah, it is a worry. But look, I back Vicario to show his true quality, which is his shot stopping, which is definitely going to be very much needed in this game. Right back will be Pedro Porro. I don't think he's on the best of form for Tottenham, but whenever he turns out in a Spain shirt, he seems to have an unbelievable game. So hopefully he can take that form that he showed on the international break and bring it into this game.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very important in this game because without Romero, especially when I think about how we're going to build up from the back, it's going to be very difficult. And I think Porro's going to have to be central to it because I think Romero is really the guy who does those line-breaking passes, and I think Porro is probably second to him when it comes to our build-up play. And so I think he's going to feature very heavily on the ball, I reckon. And obviously defensively, coming up probably, I don't know if Doku's fit, but either Doku or...
He's not, I don't think.
Okay, if it's not Doku, then that's a bit better, but maybe Grealish on that side.
It'll probably be Foden, I think.
Foden on the left, maybe.
So, yeah.
Maybe Foden. So he's going to have, whoever it is, we know he's going to have his work cut out for him. So obviously I think Doku would have been the biggest threat. I remember Doku last time at the Etihad really gave him a tough ride on that right back slot, and he's a great runner and dribbler. When it comes to people like Foden and Grealish, I think Porro's a bit more comfortable though against those kind of players, but still going to be a tough day for him. But I think in build-up he's going to have a very important role, and I think when we go direct to Solanke, I think a lot of it's going to be giving it to Porro and then getting him go direct to Solanke. I think that could be a good method of breaking City's press.
Right centre-back for the injured Cuti Romero will be Radu Dragusin. Did go off a bit early for Romania with a slight knock, but obviously he's been in training for Tottenham, so hopefully no worries there. He's had very poor game in his last two games, but the two games prior to that was very strong against Man City and against Aston Villa, so hopefully he can regain that form because he's going to be so vital.
Yeah, in a weird way, this game might suit him a bit more than the other games because he's going to have to be doing a lot more defending rather than spending a lot of time on the ball. So if he's doing a lot of penalty box defending, that's kind of where he's at home a bit more than on the ball trying to break lines like he was against Ipswich, and where he struggled a bit. So it is, obviously he played very well against Man City in the last time we played them in the Cup, but he was playing against Foden in the false nine where he could definitely physically dominate him. Now he's playing against Erling Haaland. Obviously, massive different kettle of fish. He's going to have to be wary about Haaland holding the ball up. He's going to have to be wary about Haaland getting a run on him with headers in the box. And he's going to have to be wary of Haaland running in behind him. And he's a senior centre-back who's kind of going to be starting. So big challenge for Dragusin. But at least they can take heart that he did play pretty much a half with Davis against City in the Cup, and they'd fared quite well. So hopefully they'll take inspiration from that performance.
Left centre-back will obviously be Ben Davis in the absence of Mickey van de Ven. And I think Ben Davis, whenever stepping in this season, he's been pretty good. So I'm actually more concerned about Dragusin in some strange way than Ben Davis in this game.
Yeah, I think I'm more worried about Ben Davis when it comes to crosses into the box and Haaland just being able to tower over him. I'm a bit worried about that. What I really like about Davis, which actually he did it against Aston Villa, and actually if you think about it, when he did it at the Etihad, one of our equalisers came from it as well. He's very good at reading the play and stepping in and nipping the ball in certain situations and setting us up on attacks, and that's where we got our goal against Villa when Davis stepped in on Ollie Watkins.
He's very underrated at that, isn't he?
And if you remember at the Etihad, when Lo Celso equalised, that came from Davis doing a very similar thing. So he's going to have to do that. And I think one way of obviously stopping Haaland is to basically get the ball before it gets to him. And Davis is going to have to step in and do that. But there's no bones about it. Physically, he know he's going to be inferior to someone like Haaland. He's not the tallest. I think he's obviously in build-up play. He might be the one we look to because Dragusin is not as comfortable on the ball, and he's probably a lot more comfortable on the ball. So he's going to have his strengths. Let's just hope his weaknesses don't get so exploited.
And then to make up that back four, left back will obviously be Destiny Udogie. With Destiny, I mean, he's been poor in a sense of his one-on-one defending of recent weeks, and he really needs to shake that out of his game because Man City are going to come for him down that left-hand side, and we need him to step up to the challenge on a defensive standpoint. Yeah,
and unfortunately for him, he's going to be coming up against a very good one-on-one dribbler in Savia, I'm assuming, I think, going to be playing on that side. So he is a real box of tricks, Savia. I've been really impressed with him. I actually think he might be like a bit better than Doku from what I've seen so far from him. He's so electric, got such great pace, and when he gets to the byline, he has quality as well. So
he reminds me a bit of Mahrez.
a bit faster.
Yeah, he's not exactly the same player, but I feel like his touch and his crossing has got a very Mahrez-esque finesse to it.
And he's only 20 as well. He's got so much room to grow. So that's something that Destiny has definitely been struggling with. I mean, a lot of our goals, unfortunately, that we've conceded have come down his side in terms of him letting crosses into the box and either us conceding from the back post or certain situations in the box. So Destiny's going to have to be much better against a very good one-on-one winger in Savio. But physically, if he can get close to him, hopefully he can kind of dominate him. But if he allows him a bit too much space, then, that's where worries come.
In the number 6 position, Bentancur starts his first of his 7-game ban against Man City this weekend. So Bissouma comes straight in to that number 6. And you remember last year at the Etihad, he gave away with the sloppy pass one of the goals that we conceded in the first half.
No, it was the winner, pretty much. It should have been the winner, but we equalised.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it was the one that went 3-2.
3-2 to City, yeah.
3-2. Which I felt like he, after that kind of confidence, you saw him seep out of him a little bit. So let's hope he can right those wrongs this weekend.
Yeah, and I think he's having a good season so far, Bissouma, and it's going to be a big game for him. And with City, the injuries they have, Kovacic, Rodri, out, I think he has to see this as an opportunity to try and really dominate in that centre physically. And when you look at it on paper, he might be one of the more physical players in that centre of the park. So he's got to make sure that he's really imposing himself on the game and he's not allowing this game to pass him by, because I think he's going to be very pivotal, first of all in our build-up, and also when City have the ball and they're putting us under pressure, he's going to have to help out his centre-backs, because we know we don't have our first-choice centre-backs out there. So I think he's got a really important role to play in this game.
Yeah. Moving into the attacking midfielders, first one that we're going to talk about is Dejan Kulusevski. We know this stadium is his own. It's named after him, the deck he had. He always performs against Man City. He was speaking in the post-match interview after the cup game when we beat them, saying, everyone knows why this is so special to me. And he seems to always turn up against Manchester City. So I'm expecting a big game from him.
Yeah, he's never not done something at the Etihad, hasn't he? So every time he goes there, I think he scored every game, hasn't he? He scored every time, because he scored under Conte when we won 3-2. He scored when we lost 4-2, and last season he scored when we drew 3-1. That's the only 3 times he's played there. So he has 100% goal scoring record.
was his debut, wasn't it?
That was his that was his first start. Yeah. So Decky has 100% record scoring away at Man City, and he clearly absolutely loves it. And again, he is going to have I think he is a very key player in this, because Man City, as I've said, they are missing, as much as we're missing our centre-backs, they are also missing 2 very important players in midfield. And those players add that defensive solidity and security, which maybe they won't have as much without them. So Decky has to make sure he's exploiting that. And because of his physicality, he can make sure he's getting that space. And when he looks at in those players in midfield, most likely to probably be Gundogan, maybe Nunez, De Bruyne, he's got to be licking his lips at that and thinking, if they try and get near me, I can just bully them. I can get them off me, and I can create my own space. And he has to make a big impact in this game. And knowing Decky, I think he's going to thrive off that.
Step into your arena, Decky. This is your place, man. Make this pitch your own like you always do. And to make up that middle 3 will be Pape Matar Sarr. We still think James Maddison will stay on the bench, albeit Maddison has had complete 2-week rest, and Pape Sarr is coming back from Africa from international duty, but he had a really strong game for Senegal, which carried on that form that he's showing for Tottenham at the moment. So I think you just got to pick the man in form.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be crucial for transitions in this game. We saw in the cup game what a great game he had, and obviously he got a goal in the first half. He did he get an assist? No, he had a brilliant first half against Man City in that game.
He scored.
He scored, obviously, the goal. Did he get the assist? No, he didn't get the assist for the first one, but he scored a brilliant goal, wasn't it, from a corner, short corner. And he's going to be very crucial because, as I say, City might be lacking a bit of legs in that middle. And if anything, he does have that we know he has his running power. So he's got to have to make sure that he's pressing Gundogan relentlessly, make sure he's getting close to him, not letting Gundogan dictate the play here, and obviously not allowing De Bruyne the space that he needs to really dictate that centre. He's going to be crucial as well. As much as I want Maddison back in the team at some point, and not that I don't think this is the game for it, and I think Sarr needs to start.
So that's Bissouma, Kulusevski and Sarr as the middle three. In the forward line, we are kind of hamstrung for options. On the right-hand side, there is only one option, and that is Brennan Johnson off the back of a really strong showing for Wales.
Yeah, and really, hopefully that'll give him a lot more confidence. Really good showing against Iceland. And I think as well, this game could be good for him because Man City do leave a lot of space out wide. They do, obviously, they're going to, they obviously 4 losses in a row, they're going to kind of come at us a bit. And hopefully he can give Gvardiol a bit of a tough time on the left or whoever it is. I thought of the game at the in the cup game, he gave their defence a tough time as well. And one thing that Man City have been conceding is goals from out wide, and he's someone, Brennan, who can definitely exploit that in terms of crosses in the box. I know he hasn't been doing that as much this season, but hopefully this could be a game where he really starts doing that again.
And then up top in the number 9 will obviously be Dom Solanke. He's had a brilliant season so far. Was fairly rested for the international break as well. I think he came on for the last 20 minutes of the game against Ireland. So not much football in his legs in the last in the last 2 weeks. So hopefully he should be fit and bang at it on the weekend.
Yeah, and I think what's really important in this game is we do what we did in the cup game, which is when we can go long to him and make sure that he can keep the ball and make it stick in that final third. Because one thing I am worried about in this game is our struggles that we might have in build-up if we're trying to play out the back, because Man City are a very good pressing team. We know that, one of the best pressing teams in Europe, and they will study how we try to build up, and it's going to be a struggle, especially without Romero there and Van de Ven, to make sure we're getting an advantage there. So if we are struggling to build up from the back, I think it's very important that Solanke makes himself an option and we build up in that way, because we saw in the cup game, remember that Timo Werner chance that he went through one-on-one, that came from us going direct from Vicario to Solanke, him taking it down and playing Werner through. And we have to make sure we're getting Sonny in those kind of areas that Werner was, and Solanke is making himself an option, because that is going to be a crucial way to relieve the pressure that City are going to put us under.
And last but not least, on the left-hand side is going to be our captain, Son Heung-min, another player who loves a goal against Manchester City. And the space that they're going to leave for him is tailor-made for Sonny. Yeah,
he loves this fixture, doesn't he? He absolutely. He scored some very famous goals at the Etihad. And again, another player who just loves playing within the space in behind. And I actually think our front three, as much as Spurs are a team that like possession, Son and Johnson are very much two players who definitely like to play in a transitional game. That's where they're at their best. And I think Sonny in this one will definitely be licking his lips. Now, if Kyle Walker's playing instead of Rico Lewis, it's going to be a bit more challenging for him to get that advantage in the space. But Walker, I think himself, isn't having the best season at the moment. So I think against Brighton, I thought Matoma gave him a real tough ride. So Son has to be looking at that and thinking, if they leave me space, I need to be making the difference here.
Yeah, I still think Sonny will fancy himself against Kyle Walker. How old is he? He's like 35 now, not having the strongest season. He has been overrun a couple of times this season, Kyle Walker. So
clearly declining, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Sonny will actually fancy his chances against Kyle Walker. But let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. Vicario in goal, Porro right back, Udogie left back, Dragusin and Davies in the centre back position, Bissouma, Deki and Sarr in the middle three, with Brennan Johnson, Son Heung-min and Dominic Solanke in the forward line. So that is our predicted lineup. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Would you think this is the lineup, or would you think something Ange is going to go with a different option?